What is happening, people? Welcome to today's video where I'm going to give you 5 tips when getting into mountain biking. So, we all know with the restrictions and things like that, mountain biking and fucking activities from home is the new booming industry. You'll know if you're anything like me and you went to purchase a new bike recently. Good luck trying to find one because they're flying off the shelves. So seems to be a lot of people are developing a keen interest in biking and mountain biking and things along there. So I thought I would give you 5 tips that I wish I knew before I started. So let's get right into it. So a bit of background for you. I started kind of around 6 months ago. I took a plunge one day and went down to Castlewellan, which is in Northern Ireland, part of the Mournes route. Basically went down and rented out a bike, went in blind and just couldn't get over the adrenaline, the head clearing, the space, the head space it put you in afterwards. It was exciting, it was fun, and it was basically hooked from the get-go. So after there, it was kind of, fucking Google and everything and YouTube and everything and looking for the best bike to buy and the cheapest bike that there is to get. And I think that is the first tip I want to give you is just do it. If you're sitting there thinking, I'd really like to give it a go and have a wee slight interest in trying this bike and I've heard so much about it, go and do it. Particularly if you have somewhere nearby you can rent a bike from a facility or a friend can lend you a bike, definitely go and do it and just experience it. You don't have to go fucking nuts on your first run. You're not going to Red Bull Rampage and, doing all that mad shit. Just go for a stroll, a gentle trail ride. You don't want something too flat or boring because it won't give you the full effect of what you're actually going to be doing on a standard trail ride. So look for something in and around, the green region, maybe a blue or a red, depending on how confident you are and how tricky the trail is. Just go and experience it. And I guarantee you, you're going to enjoy yourself. It's very hard not to have fun. You're in the clean air and it's good exercise for you and it's just a blast all around. So, but number 1 tip for you is just go and do it. I recommend everyone who listen to this, just go and give it a try. What have you got to lose? For the sake of 50 quid or, whatever it may be, it's a day out for you, So moving on to tip number 2 that I have for you is don't watch too many YouTube videos. I'm guilty of this one even to this day. I find myself on any free time I get, it's constantly YouTubing mountain biking tips and fucking locations and all the latest shit. So it's easy to get caught up in the latest and greatest. And if you know anything about bike, it's not cheap. Especially if you're looking at these top of the range stuff, which a lot of YouTubers and media outlets for biking tend to flog the deer shit, the wow factor on them. So don't get caught up too much in that, particularly at the start. If you're on there looking for, your first kind of bike, there's thousands upon thousands of videos out there. I recommend you get this hardtail or the full suspension, or you have to spend $6,000 on your first bike, which it's not true. Just don't watch too many YouTube videos. Just watch a couple of basic trail tips, things you can work on locally. Even though it's in your garden or at the front of your house, just things you can learn to help you, progress and get to those red level, trails and feel comfortable on a bike. Particularly if you haven't ridden the bike since you were young, which was my case. Getting back on a bike can feel a wee bit dodgy, but within a couple of rides you're up to scratch. So definitely do a bit of research, watch a few videos just to get the basic understanding of it, so you don't send yourself over the bars. But hey, falling off's part of the fun. If you do it safe and you're not being too reckless, I don't think it's a big problem. So that leads us on to number 3, which is, in my experience, your first bike will be it'll be tested. You'll ding it up pretty bad, and you'll make some mistakes on it. I couldn't tell you how many things I fucking messed up on my first bike. So I went down the region of buying a hardtail, which was pretty inexpensive, and compared to most bikes. So it was a base level Vetus Nucleus, which was I think around $550 at the time when I bought it. Obviously a lot of money, to people, and it still is. But I'm glad I started with that bike because it allowed me to make some bad mistakes. Threading, bolts too tight and stripping bolts and, scuffing up the frame and cables rubbing, shit like that you don't really find out too much of. And your first bike will be your test dummy. You're likely gonna, you're gonna crack it on a few rocks and you're gonna scrape stuff and you're gonna get a few dings on it. So, my experience, have a cheapish bike. I mean, even go cheaper than the 550 route, I would say. Something, between 300 to 550, something that you don't mind scratching up, So, I mean, going on 6 months, the bike's still holding up for me. So it's not a £500 purchase that you're just going to throw away. It's something you always have there as a backup bike or for a friend or a partner, someone else to get them introduced to the sport. And also for a rainy day, you don't want to take your pride and joy out on a bad condition day, and you don't mind throwing an older bike through some terrible conditions. Leading on to number 4 then is learn basic maintenance skills. This again is something that's handy on a cheaper bike because you can learn how to do certain things without messing up the dear components. So if it's starting way back with simple tasks like removing your pedals, replacing your chain cable, your chain, replacing gear cables, indexing your gears, removing your wheel, fixing a puncture, all that kind of stuff is much easier to learn on a cheaper bike because if you fuck it up, which you more than likely will do, it's inexpensive to fix. And if it's something you can't do yourself, you can always take it to a local bike shop and they'll help you out with it. Whereas if you're doing all that on a dear bike with much pricier components, it's going to sting a lot more, and it's not going to be as fun for you. So again, practice the basic maintenance stuff. Things that get you out of a hole if you're on the trail and you get a puncture, or you have a bit of gear difficulties. Just something enough to get you home or back to the trailhead to your car. And the 5th tip I have for you is to be friendly with other new riders. So, likely when you're out in the trail, particularly if you're out at peak times, you're going to see new riders out and about. So, what I found is so far everyone's been quite friendly. People seem to be quite friendly with other bikers. It must be part of the being in the good environment makes people happier and happy to see new people out and about. So, definitely get talking, say hello and, ask a few questions to regulars you will see out in the trails, because one, they can help you, they can point you in the right direction if you're ever stuck. You can find out new trails from them, they can give you tips, help you ride a lot better, and it makes it a pleasant experience, particularly if you're going out in group rides, But saying that, if you're a solo rider like myself, it's still great because you get to clear your head. It gets you out of the house for an hour or two. You just feel great afterwards, and you get that adrenaline, and it's something you're going to look forward to the weekends. If you're a weekend rider, it's something to help you through those long weeks where work's on top of you, or you're fed up with the way things are going. So definitely, be friendly out and about and enjoy yourself. And the number one thing is to have fun. That's what it's all about. I mean, that's what you're paying for. So go out there, enjoy it, and ride your bike.